Next, we want to ask Mr. Larijani about the story of a father and a son, a story that brings into stark relief the human cost of Iran's post-election crackdown. A father who was loyal to the current regime, and his son who ended up in Iran's Abu Ghraib, the notorious Karizak detention center.
This is Abdul Hussein Ruhul Amini at the memorial service for his son, Mohsen. The ceremony was broadcast last summer on state TV. When anti-government demonstrations erupted across Iran last summer, the younger Ruhul Amini was one of the estimated thousands of protesters to be detained. But within weeks of arriving at Karizak, he was dead. Initially, the official cause of death was meningitis. But then the father, an influential government insider, objected and demanded an official investigation.
و مهمتر از اون سیستمی که اصلاح بشه، پالایش بشه و اینا جلوی مسیر پیشرفت، ترقی، سعادت مردم ما، کشور ما رو بر نگیره. همه مردم این کشور یه خانواده بزرگن، دل در گرو اطلاع این کشور دارن و محسن یکی از اونها بود.
Abdul Hussein Ruhul Amini finally received the results of that investigation last month, when an Iranian parliamentary commission ruled that the prosecutor, Saeed Mortazavi, was responsible for 3 deaths in the Karizak detention center, including that of Ruhul Amini's son, Mohsen. Now, joining me again is Mohammad Javad Larijani, Secretary General of Iran's High Council for Human Rights. Again, let's talk about that case. In retrospect, would you say that the authorities claiming that Mohsen Ruhul Amini's death was because of meningitis was a mistake, was a gross exaggeration?
Mr. Ruhul Amini is a very close friend of mine, and all of us, we are regretting so much that he lost his son. We are not claiming that wrongdoing and unlawful act doesn't happen in Iran. It happens everywhere in the world. Claim to pure perfection definitely is too good to be true. But the fact is that when we discover that there is some wrongdoing somewhere, like in Karizak, it took us only 48 hours to close it down and indulge in a full investigation of the people who were responsible for that, being the police officer, being the administrator of the detention center, contrary to, for example, Guantanamo, which is still it is working.
Mr. Larijani, Guantanamo Bay was clearly a major problem for the United States, but as you know, the current administration has banned harsh interrogations and torture. But back to Karizak, you said that you had conducted an investigation. Within 48 hours, the place was closed down. But what about Saeed Mortazavi, the Prosecutor General, who was basically deemed responsible by the parliament for several deaths there? What's happened to him? He's still operating.
This is not the end of a legal process. This may start and give a reason that the legal process should take a closer look. But anything should come out of the legal process.
Do you think,
being Mortazavi or any other person, we should wait for the result of the legal process and court decision.
Given the fact
nobody will replace the court in their final decision.
Okay, the court, the judiciary is run by one of your brothers, and you are the head of the Human Rights Council in Iran. Do you believe that the prosecutor, who's been accused by a significant parliamentary committee, of which another brother of yours is the Speaker of the Parliament, do you believe that Mr. Mortazavi should be punished, censured, or in some way held accountable for the deaths of those people in Karizak prison, which you've had to close down?
Well, I believe we should do our utmost rigorous investigation without any favor to anybody to discover who was and who were responsible for any wrongdoing in that direction, and they should face the harshest possible penalty for their action and punishment. So it is premature and it is not prudent for me to accuse a person, an individual on the national TV or in the press. But definitely, I am one of those people who are pursuing the matter day by day.
Let me go back to executions. Okay. Iran leads the world, well, actually just after China, in executions. It also leads the world in juvenile executions. Children who are accused of having committed crimes have been executed once they reach a certain age. But you just told me that executions and the death penalty is reserved for instance, terrorists.
70% of the death sentences in Iran is for the drug trafficking and narcotic dealing, which in fact, I am against that law, which says that if somebody carries more than 5 kilos of opium, he should be punished by death penalties, because these opiums is starting from Afghanistan and destinating toward Europe. If Europe is not ready to help in curtailing this movement, why Iran should take the blame and the burden of fighting with narcotic dealers? This is one reason for that. As far as the juveniles, the death penalty, if their age is less than 15, well, we consider them, they should not get any capital punishment. Between 15 and 18, there is a dispute among the legal experts in Iran that are they held responsible for their action or not?
Let me ask you one more question about the American hikers who are in jail and who have not been able to see their families or their lawyers. Are you going to allow their families, their mothers, to visit them in jail, and how is their trial going to proceed?
Well, the embassy of Swiss in Tehran, they have access to legal issues of these people, and recently they handed me a request that their family wants to visit them, and we are working on that.
But why not let them visit them?
Let me make it clear that, well, this is the request that I received about a week ago, and I'm working on that, and I should arrange it with the people, security people and intelligence people, because the question is that whether they were hikers or not. I feel and I wish that they were definitely hikers, but they should be cleared up from moving into Iranian land by citizens of very hostile country toward Iran and in a very volatile area. So my wish is that they should be totally cleared from these accusations, but they should go under interrogation. But anyhow, this happened to Iranian people who were hijacked in northern Iraq, and they were detained by months by American, and they never let any of their family to have access to them.
Mr. Larijani, thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was Mohammad Javad Larijani speaking to us from Geneva, Switzerland. And check out our timeline of the turmoil in Iran, chronicling events there since the disputed election last year. All of that is on Amanpour.com.